everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rachel, and today I'm going to be talking about all of the books that I plan to read in October. I have never been this excited for a TBR, I think, in my entire time on BookTube, okay? I love making TBR videos. They are the highlight of my month. I love starting the month fresh, talking about all the books that I hope to get read in that month, but there is just something very special about this TBR. Well, really two things. Number one, it is comprised of 99% fantasy romance. Number two, every single book on my TBR is a 5-star prediction. Every single one. I am praying that they end up being 5 stars. This is either going to be like a fantastic best reading month of my life or so disappointing. I am just so excited to be back in the mood for fantasy. Over the summer, I kind of fell into more of a contemporary romance mood, which I do have a couple contemporary romances on here just to kind of be palate cleansers, but I really didn't read a lot of fantasy this summer, but I'm telling you, fantasy romance is my absolute favorite genre of all time. It is where I feel most like myself, most at home. It is how I fell in love with reading, was through fantasy romance. Like, I love the genre so much. I feel so like this is me. This is real. This is me. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. So I am so excited to be talking about these books today with you. Like, I can't. I am so excited. How many times can I say that? This is going to be a fantastic month. I am planning to vlog pretty much every single book that I talk about on this TBR. So I am not going to be doing quite like Booktober or Vlogtober, but I am just going to try to put out a lot more vlogs this month. So hope you're excited. I am so excited. Let's talk about these books, and I will show you guys what I am planning on reading this month. Okay, so the very first book that I'm planning to read in October, and I know that because today is October 1st and I am already 150 pages into it, is Kingdom of the Cursed by Kerri Maniscalco. This is the second book in the Kingdom of the Wicked trilogy. Kingdom of the Wicked follows our main character. Her name is Emilia. She is a witch living in Italy. Her twin sister is murdered and she sets out to avenge her sister's death. Along the way, she summons this Prince of Varath who has 6 other brothers who make up the 7 deadly sins. She teams up with Prince Varath kind of begrudgingly to set out and find out who killed her sister, and she ends up finding a lot more about her heritage, her family, and her powers as a witch. This is the second book. Not really going to talk too much about the plot thus far, but I am enjoying it a lot more than the first book, I will say. I gave Kingdom of the Wicked 3 stars. I feel like on paper I should love this series, but I just don't for some reason, and I don't know why that is. Nothing really sticks out to me, but I'm just not super gripped by the story. I will say Emilia is not like my favorite main character I've ever read, but I love Wrath. Wrath gets 5 stars. Wrath is amazing. He is the best part of the story, and I will say in this book so far it's going a bit better. So I do want to finish this hopefully in the next day or two, and the third book and the finale of this trilogy, Kingdom of the Feared, just came out. I am hopefully going to be reading that either this month or next month as well because I'm very excited for it. The next book on my October TBR is The Book of Azriel by Amber Nicole. So this is an adult fantasy romance. The thing that attracted me to this book is allegedly the main character is a villain, which I am very excited. I feel like we don't see enough female main character villains, which I am here for, and I don't know too much about this book. I know that our main character has to team up with one of her enemies from thousands of years ago, and he is some type of god, and they have to come together and like save their realm in some type of way. So I think there is a little bit of enemies to lovers. There are gods, which is always a fun time, and I am going to be buddy reading this with Hannah over at Hannah's Recent Reads. She will be linked down below. We're both very excited for this. The last time Hannah and I buddy read a fantasy romance, it went terribly. So here's to hoping that this is at least like a 4-star book. The next book that I want to read in the month of October is Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. This is a book that has been on my radar for a very long time. It's a YA fantasy and it is a standalone. I've heard incredible things about this book. Our main character has to team up with her enemy, and it involves libraries, which is very fun, some type of magical library. I heard that this is really beautifully written, very lyrical, so I'm really excited to read this and I hope that I love it. The next book that I want to read in the month of October is House of Salt and Sorrow by Erin A. Craig. So this book is a YA fantasy romance with gothic elements, and there's also like a murder mystery aspect. It sounds amazing. It sounds like we have thrown every single genre into one book, and here it is. I am very, very excited about this. When I bought this book, a few of you had commented that you absolutely love it. I also think this is another standalone, which once again, I just don't feel like I see enough in the YA fantasy genre, but it's honestly nice to have a standalone every now and then, to not get started completely into a series every single time you pick up a new book. So I'm really looking forward to this. I also believe this is a retelling, so I'm very excited for this and looking forward to it. The next 2 books on my October TBR are books that I'm reading for a read-along. 2 of my very good friends here, Hannah and Christina, they've been hosting an SJM read-along where they read every single book that Sarah J Maas has published. Ever since HOSAP came out, I have definitely wanted to reread her series, to take some notes, to define my theories, and so I decided to partake in this readathon along with them. This month we are reading A Court of Wings and Ruin, which is the 3rd book in the A Court of Thorns and Roses series, and then also reading the novella A Court of Frost and Starlight. I have never reread them, but I'm really, really looking forward to it, and I know it's just going to be such a great time. The next book on my October TBR, I think, is the book that I am most excited to read this month, and that is Daughter of No Worlds by Carissa Broadbent. Okay, I already showed this in a vlog, which may already be out by the time you're seeing this. Whether it is or not, it bears worth repeating. First of all, this cover is absolutely beautiful. I'll talk about what the book is about in a second, but look at how just stunning the naked book is. I love that so much. I love that attention to detail. It just makes the book that much more special. But this is an adult fantasy romance. This is self-published, indie published. I know that it's on KU, but I saw somebody with the hardcover editions and the special, kind of naked book design, and I was like, I have to buy the physical book. This book follows our main character. We start out the book with her in slavery. She ends up escaping and then joining as an apprentice in this order, which is a group of magic wielders who are strong enough to take revenge on her former masters. So that is a big plot point and driving point for her. She wants to go back and save the people who are still enslaved, and also, I assume, kill the people who are keeping them all enslaved. In order to join the order, she has to get trained by a very handsome and reclusive man who begrudgingly agrees to help her. So this book kind of has everything. It sounds like a perfect fantasy romance. I've heard this compared to Throne of Glass quite a bit, which makes me very, very excited, and I am so hoping that this book ends up being incredible. It is the first book in a trilogy, and I am just like, this is my biggest hope for the month. I want this to work out so, so bad because it sounds amazing, and I've heard wonderful things, so fingers crossed. The next book that I hope to read in October is a bit of a palate cleanser. That is Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. First of all, this cover is so, so cute. This is actually on Kindle Unlimited. It's a contemporary romance, and I think you can tell by the cover what this book is going to be about, but we have a figure skater and a hockey player, and they end up having to share the rink for one reason or another. Anastasia says she does not like hockey players, she doesn't want anything to do with them, but I think you and I both know that that is going to change. I have heard so much buzz about this book, I cannot escape it, and I am so excited. I'm hearing people say that from the beginning you are gripped, and it's a fantastic and actually very spicy romance, which from the cover you wouldn't think that. You would think it's kind of a sweet, wholesome book, but I feel like these cartoon covers tend to be very deceiving. I'm really excited for this. I love a good figure skater hockey romance. It sounds like it's going to be wonderful. The next book that I want to read in October is Long Live the Pumpkin Queen by Erin Hernshaw. Of course, we have our girl Sally here on the cover. So this book follows the events of Nightmare Before Christmas, which is a movie I actually just watched a couple days ago for the first time. Thank you, Lachlan. But I really did like the movie. So this book follows obviously Sally from Nightmare Before Christmas, and from my understanding, this book follows Sally as she is now the Pumpkin Queen, but I think she's a little bit unsure of if this is the life that she wants and if she can kind of step up to the plate of being the Pumpkin Queen. That is my understanding, but this is a very short book. It sounds really, really amazing. Lachlan absolutely loved it, and she is a huge Nightmare Before Christmas gal, so I think if she approves, I'm going to love this. I think this is truly the only like spooky book I have on my October TBR because I know it's spooky month, but for me, October equals fantasy, so I am giving a little bit of an homage to Halloween here, and I hope that I like this one. The next book that I am planning on reading in October is Daughter of the Drowned Empire by Frankie Diane Malice. This is another Kindle Unlimited fantasy romance that I heard about, and it sounds really, really great. This book follows our main character, Liriana. Liriana lives in a kingdom where magic is very restricted and only certain types of magic are okay to use. She, I believe, accidentally reveals that she has a very illicit type of magic. The Emperor threatens her with death unless she can go through a grueling series of tests and trials, I think to prove that basically it's worth it for her to have this magic. And so she sets off to train for several months with a lord that she has had a crush on her entire life, but is 100% off limits. So I'm so excited. This sounds so good. I cannot wait to read this. I think that I'll be doing some type of like Kindle Unlimited fantasy romance reading vlog because this and Daughter of No Worlds are on KU, but this sounds really amazing. I've heard glowing reviews of it, so once again, fingers crossed. I really hope that this is a new favorite. The next book on my October TBR is Ace of Spades by Farida Abike Iyemede, and this is a book that I have had for so long. I bought it right when it came out. It's such a popular book here on BookTube, and I just, as you guys know, I've said this a million times, but haven't really been into thrillers in a very long time. But I have recently discovered through A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, I like a YA thriller. I really do. I think they're fun. I think they're quick. I think they're a little bit lighter, and I think they're just more the style of thriller that I gravitate towards. So I wanted to pick this up this month because this is a book that I have been meaning to read for so long. If you do not know, this book is marketed as Get Out meets Gossip Girl. I believe our two main characters kind of go to a preparatory or private school, and then some anonymous person threatening to reveal information about them to the whole school if they don't do what they say. It sounds excellent. The cover is stunning, and I'm really looking forward to reading this. As you guys can see, I have so much fantasy and fantasy romance on my TBR that I think that once again, it'll be a nice palate cleanser, but I'm just really looking forward to reading this story and seeing what all the hype is about. The next book on my October TBR is Belladonna by Adeline Grace. This book has been everywhere. It just came out. It is a YA fantasy gothic romance, which, like, once again, sounds absolutely fantastic. Our main character basically has to find the murderer in a recent death that occurred, and she has to team up with Death himself. Don't know what that means, but I am so excited. I love that premise. It's a very classic fantasy premise, but I'm so excited. I'm seeing a lot of my friends read this and really love it, so I'm praying that I like this as well. I've never read from this author, but I know that she did write All the Stars and Teeth, which is a very popular YA fantasy series here on BookTube, so I have faith that I will like her writing style because I have heard such good things. And once again, like, this cover is just so stunning. I love it so much, and it definitely has this kind of like eerie fantasy gothic vibe to it, which I am just really in the mood for. All right, and the next book on my October TBR is Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. I am so behind the times on this book. The second book just came out, but this book has been everywhere. It is so well loved. I cannot believe that I have not picked this up yet, but I am so highly anticipating this book. I will be shocked if I don't give this book 5 stars. I don't know too much about the plot of this book, but I don't really want to. I want to go in pretty blind. I know that our main character's name is Evangeline, and the love of her life ends up getting engaged to someone else. So she makes a deal with the Prince of Hearts. In exchange for 3 kisses, he will help her to mend her broken heart and attempt to stop the wedding. That is all I know, but I've heard that Stephanie Garber has the most whimsical fairy tale writing style, and I am craving that. I want just fairy tale type of writing. That is super what I'm in the mood for. That is my favorite type of fantasy writing, and I've heard that this will not disappoint. Also, if I am absolutely obsessed with Once Upon a Broken Heart, I did buy the sequel, Ballad of Never After, and if I feel so inclined, I will pick up the sequel as well. All right, and the last book on my October TBR, it does come out at the end of the month, so I will hopefully get to it at the end of October, is King of Wrath by Anna Huang. Anna Huang is one of my favorite romance authors of all time. She could potentially be my favorite. I love the Twisted series so much, and she is starting a new series where each of the books are going to be based on one of the 7 deadly sins. So the first book is King of Wrath. It is a contemporary romance though, and it's actually set in the world of the Twisted series, which is very exciting. We meet the first couple in Twisted Hate and Twisted Lies, and I believe that all of these men, like each of the 7 deadly sin men, are connected through this club or something like that. I'm a little bit confused on the connections, but first book is Wrath, and then she will go forward with the rest of the 7 deadly sins. But I am very excited because this first book is going to be a marriage of convenience story, which is one of my favorite tropes of all time. So I will definitely be reading that this month. All right, so that is it. That is my very long October TBR. Let's see if I get to all of these books. I would love to say that I will, but we shall see. If you made it to this point in the video, go ahead and leave the fairy emoji. It is my absolute favorite emoji, and I'm reading so much fantasy romance this month, so I think it is appropriate. Make sure to let me know down in the comments, what are you reading this month? What are you most excited for? What do you think is going to be a 5-star? And if you've read any of the books on my TBR, what did you think of them? As always, my Instagram and my Goodreads are linked down below. You are welcome to follow me on there at any time. I really appreciate that you watched this video. I hope that you are having a fantastic day, and I will catch you guys in the next one.